Well, good morning and what is up, everybody? This is Keith Jameson, go back at Gator Guy 231 across the DFS industry, and here to break down a four-game EPL slate. Not sure how long this video will be. Little man is like right there watching some cartoons. We'll see how long that lasts. But hope you all did well yesterday. It was a nice day for floors, with so many of the defenders that I kind of mentioned coming through with really good games. Didn't have to do the Ronaldo debate, Bruno crush. If you paid down for Pope, probably had a good day. So hope that was you. Let's jump into today's slate. Just a quick reminder: like, subscribe, comment, all really helps. And let's just jump right in. So this is a Man City slate. Everything is going to, on this slate, in my opinion, is going to come down to how you deal with City. City is minus. It's actually yesterday it was minus 1,000. It's up to minus 1111. Home to Brentford, who really doesn't have a shot. City is in just typical City form. And again, I think it's not like which City pieces, it's how many City pieces. So let's just talk about like who you are definitely playing. I think you're locked and loading Kevin De Bruyne. He's way underpriced at 9,300. We saw him, 9,200, even better. We saw him crush in the cup game. It's just De Bruyne. Like if he's under 10K, I don't see why you're not playing him. And then I think the other guy that's just a stone lock, as long as he's in, is Riyad Mahrez. I think Riyad Mahrez is like the ultimate City hedge, because not only, so often we go City guys, it's like, oh, he's going to be on corners. What's his role going to be? Mahrez always, when he's out there, is always going to take guys on. He's always going to have some share of corners. Even if it's only like one, it's something. But the big hedge with Mahrez is he's always on PKs. Like the one consistent we now have with City for about, I don't know, it feels like a year straight, is that if there's PKs, it's Mahrez, and City puts on so much pressure in the box that the likelihood of a PK is very strong. So I think you just lock in Mahrez. And then the decision from there, to me, just becomes is how many more. Okay. I think we finally have gotten past the you have to play João Cancelo debate. But, you look back at the logs and you just go 14, 11.7, 10.1. Man, do I actually want to fade him? I think at 6,300, when you look at like having a guy like Jack Grealish at 7,000, with a ton more goal equity, I probably lean there. But, I wouldn't call you crazy to play João Cancelo. He's weirdly, I think we've now decided after years of saying he's on the left, he's naturally right-footed. I'd rather have him on the right. I think it's turned that he's better on the left than the right in terms of DFS. So, he's fine there. But, I think where I'm going to go for the next City is looking at a guy like Phil Foden. 8,900, I think, is just too cheap for his talent. He could take some corners too. It's Mahrez, De Bruyne, and Foden could all take. A guy like Grealish, I just mentioned, is way too cheap at 7K. I think where I cut it off with City is I've never been I've never been a Bernardo Silva guy, but if he starts at 6,600, because like you could go Silva and then you could still go Grealish here. I mean, you saw a lot of salary left and you got 4 City attackers. So I think that realistically, I'm going to be in that 3 to 4 City attackers, debating João Cancelo as well. I don't think I'm going to end up playing him, but, it's City. Let's just look if there's anybody else. I saw Ruben Diaz for a punt at defender 3,300 with a really good odds of a clean sheet. I think it's solid. Laporte, it's always a little more active on set pieces, a little more expensive, but maybe you see a tad bit more goal equity than Diaz. Yeah, I think that's City. I'll never be a Kyle Walker and DFS guy, just better real life player than DFS player. For Brentford, I don't think you play anybody here. Jensen, based on this lineup, would be on sets, but this is a 4-game slate. There's no reason to play a plus 2,000 dog away to City. Spurs versus Southampton. I'm going to kind of make it quick from here because I think I've already kind of exhausted that. the first priority on your builds is how you're dealing with Man City. How many pieces you're going to get. Your top price guys are there. And because you're spending so much salary on the likes of De Bruyne, of Foden, let me pause the kids cartoon it is. So let me start a new one. Give me a second. Okay, so it's not going to be the cleanest transition, but I think what I was saying is you spend all of the money, in my opinion, on your city pieces. You don't have much left, so you're not really in the Keane and Son range. But if let's say that you don't play a second city forward, or you don't play Grealish, or something happens with the lineup and it's not as attractive, I don't know what that is, but coming to Spurs is fine. Son, monopoly of corners. Kane and then Reguilon would be my favorite plays. Emerson probably after that. And then I'm actually curious, how much is Bergwijn or Lucas? 57. Yeah, I mean, if you want to play whoever that right winger is, it could be interesting. Maybe Kuleveski is in. I was curious what his price is. I hadn't spent 71. That's a little too expensive, but Spurs is where you can get a little bit different. They are a solid favorite at home, -175. Southampton, especially away from home, can let in some goals. So I would not call you crazy for Spurs pieces. Southampton, there's actually two pieces. One piece that I think is very valuable in cash, especially is just like a flat out like 1-for-1. Like you just don't play Grealish. 7,600 for James Ward-Prowse, even as a dog away from home. We've seen with Spurs, especially any team under Conte, but if Spurs gets ahead, they don't mind giving away possession and just playing in a deep block, which will just invite a ton of corners and crosses from James Ward-Prowse. 7,600 is a steal for him, even in this matchup. So I think James Ward-Prowse for cash, monopoly set pieces, PKs, all that stuff, very much in play. Then the other guy I just want to mention, Stuart Armstrong, is like stone minimum. I've always liked Stuart Armstrong's game. He'd be out wide, taking some guys on. He really made a huge difference in that cup game. So if he gets to start, I think that's very in play. Aston Villa versus Leeds. Villa slight home favorite, -120. Villa's set situation is just beyond gross right now. Like you look a lineup like this, and Louise and Dean has been taking, but Coutinho could definitely get in there. McGinn has taken a plenty. We know Emi Buendia has the ability to take. He very much seems like he's not going to take there. But you just got all of these like creative type of guys. It's good for Villa, right? It makes Villa a lot better. But for DFS, you start adding all these guys in, and they hurt one another. Just like to look real quickly at Villa prices. I really don't think there was too much I liked. Lucas Dean at 7,100 is I want to like it, but it's just a little too expensive for him on this slate. Like Lucas Dean, 7,100, Jack Grealish, 7,000. I know I'm using Jack Grealish a lot, but 7,000 is just an egregious price for him. McGinn, 6,900 is a little expensive. Douglas Luiz, 5,100 is fine. My concern with like Douglas Luiz is we finally get him, and now he doesn't have corners. Now you paid 5,100 for a 6 that is going to get you 5 DK if you're lucky, and you're screwed. So I'm just very careful about that. So yeah, I think the answer is I don't really like anybody from Villa, but I think from a GPP stack they become really under-owned. Like doing Ollie Watkins is like the biggest beneficiary of all this creativity. So him as a GPP play. Where is he at? 7,300. I think that's really good. And again, back to Grealish. Grealish can be very popular at 7,000. So Ollie Watkins would be a really good pivot. For Leeds, I think Rafinha 9,000 is 100% in play. Rafinha versus like a Foden, that just depends on how much city exposure you want, because Rafinha's floor is 100% better. Rafinha could easily outscore Foden, or you could just go ahead and play Rafinha thinking all those things, and Foden scores 2 goals, and you're just like, why did I take the -1,100 favorite? So I think Rafinha is where you end with Leeds. Stuart Dallas stuff at 4,900 is fine. Always gets their guy. But I do think Villa at home here versus Leeds, I want to temper my expectations. It's Rafinha, Dallas, move on. Again, we're talking an optimal standpoint. Final game, Norwich and Palace. Not going to be a ton here. Milo Rashika is the best player on the Norwich side, taking most sets pieces. If you see Billy Gilmore in, he probably splits with him. But, based on this lineup, it probably Rashika, maybe Norman could take some, but Rashika is the only guy that really gives you any sort of DFS goodness. The rest, Sargent, Ida, Pookie, all going to be goal dependent. I'm just curious what Ida's price is. He's starting to be playing pretty well for the young kid. 4,500. There's a punt forward for you if you wanted to. Norwich, just in that relegation battle. I'm curious where they are. I was gonna say they're getting really close to kind of getting there. Good for Dean Smith, really kind of giving them, an extra here. So that'll be interesting. But big game for them, and a game that they very well could get a point, if not 3. Palace, I think the most interesting play is Michael Elise. He just had like a masterpiece in the cup. Super, super talented guy that they got. Hasn't been playing much in the first half of the season, but it looks like he's breaking through. He should take a majority of sets. At least the in swingers off the left. He could split with Gallagher, Hughes. Wolf Zaha is back, which is huge for Palace. I'm curious where he is at price wise. 8,100 is a little steep. I was hoping if it was like 6,500, I was going to say that's pretty interesting, but 8,100 is still steep. But, Palace is one of these teams that, outside of Elise, and now that Gallagher's not really going to take sets, I just don't really want to spend too much time on. But again, GPP versus, a pretty bad Norwich team, which, I say that they've been bad all season, but I think they're very much improved. So I don't want to stay on that narrative. But this is just a stay away. This is a City slate to me. I don't want to overthink this. City is for me. And Little Man is done. That means I am out. So thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, this is Keith Jameson, aka Gator Guy 31. See you.